Welcome back, guys. We're gonna go over this trade recap. I've honestly gotten a lot better at predicting price. It's absolutely crazy. So, one big thing is that my losses have been limited. A lot more break-even trades, and we're getting the wins, but again, not enough data to tell. But honestly, I'll take it because if we go over here and look at, let's see, learning focus. Yeah, this one was gnarly, bro. Lots of losses, couple wins here. And I think the biggest reason why I had a lot of losses is because I didn't know when not to trade. And I think that's, again, I think I said this in my last video, knowing when not to trade is just as important as knowing when to trade. And so being able to limit those losses and being more selective with the market conditions that I'm trading is very important. Now, up $5,000 on this one, and then I think up $8,000 on this one, which is kind of insane to think about because my trading has just gone through such a transformation that it's so weird. Anyways, so yeah, that's that. Let's hope we can get these numbers back up and make that 6% more consistently, which has been the goal for, honestly, since I started this channel. But I've gotten better at predicting price, so let's just jump right into this because this one was a really good trade. So I think in my last video I said I think I definitively figured out how to determine daily bias now. And honestly, it really just is a matter of understanding phases of price, knowing. It's kind of hard to explain, but I would definitely recommend checking out T-Trade's videos on phases of price, such as consolidation, expansion, reversals, and continuations, right? So I think I said them all. Expansion, consolidation, retracement, I think that's the one I forgot, and reversal. So knowing what phase of price we are in and knowing what we can't do during certain phases of price is very useful. I would say, honestly, it's probably the most important aspect of trading because that's what's going to tell you what can happen and how price should react, right? So you're probably like, what does that even mean? I don't understand what that even means. So what I mean by that is that if we are, for example, you can see signatures in price, right? Let's go, before we even go over this trade, let's just look at this right now. So initially when we were in here, like, this is Friday, right? This is Friday. And then coming into Monday, I was like, okay, this looks like a retracement. As you can see, this was a retracement, right? So I was expecting us to go up and aim for these highs. But what ended up happening is that we came up a little bit, right? And then we fell. And I was like, and I ended up losing a trade here, right here in this movement down because I was expecting upward prices. So honestly, I don't think I could have avoided this loss. And I'm going to tell you why. I couldn't have avoided this loss because I expected us to be in a retracement phase and then an expansion phase. But what ended up happening is that this was a retracement, yes, but we ended up consolidating, as you can see. And so we went from a expansion into a retracement into consolidation, right? And how can we leave a consolidation? We have to either manipulate the high or the low. So the fact that we came down into a retracement and consolidated means that this is a continuation signature. Meaning that if we want to go lower, we have to go higher first to go down. If we want to go higher, we have to go lower first and then go down. The consolidation wasn't as clear on NASDAQ as it was on ES. But not only that, I think looking at the daily chart, it's actually, for me, comparing them, I did recognize that they were kind of diverging in the sense that they look somewhat different from each other. They're not really closely, they don't look necessarily identical. So I think I didn't recognize that. at the time that we were in a consolidation, and that to leave a consolidation we have to either manipulate the low or the high. And what ended up happening, because look, we came down, so I thought this was us rejecting off and going up, right? Kind of, this is that same candle here, so I thought, okay, we're gonna go up from here. But as you can see, we went above this high, never even saw this high, and reversed and went down. I don't know, maybe, I don't know if this was necessarily avoidable, or maybe I could have been a little bit more cautious. I'm not gonna lie, I'm just now reviewing it, and I'm just like, whoa, yeah, it's clearly a consolidation. We have to either manipulate the low or high, but I thought maybe this was the manipulation of the low to go higher. But it turned out it was a manipulation of the high to go lower. And I guess you could say technically we did manipulate the low, and then we did go higher, but we never saw that high, took out this high, and then dropped. So all I'm trying to say is, if you understand phases of price and how we move from one stage to the other, you're going to have an easier time determining what price is going to do. Because the only ways we can leave a consolidation is to manipulate the lower high. We can't just consolidate and then basically drop off the face of the earth. You can't do that. You can't go from a consolidation into a reversal. It just doesn't happen, right? And you can't go from a consolidation into a retracement. That just does not happen. We have to either manipulate the low or high to leave a consolidation, right? So recognizing what phase of price we're in and how price can move from one phase of price to the next is basically how you determine bias. And quite frankly, this has been a very lengthy rant. I've already used up 6 minutes explaining phases of price, but I'm just trying to let you know that that is the biggest change that I've made to my trading to determine daily bias, essentially, right? So with that being said, let's just go into this. So how did I determine daily bias, right? So I noticed that I thought this day was going to be an up day, Thursday, right? But Friday, but we closed down. So at this point I was like, okay, what's going on? Are we going up or are we going down? I couldn't really tell. But then when I went to the 4 hour, I was like, oh shoot, we were in a consolidation where we manipulated and we went down. So coming into Friday, I'm like, okay, we're definitely going down. Like, there's no question about it. We're in a downtrend. It's pretty obvious. That's the phase of price that we're in right now. We're in a expansionary phase to the downside. So yeah, that's basically it for the daily. And then I came down to the 4 hour, just marked out my 1800 candle, 600 candle here, 1800, 600 candle here. And then I marked out my draws on liquidity. And my draw on liquidity, I think is here on the 4 hour for NASDAQ. And I think, not entirely sure what this is for. It would technically be here, but maybe I adjusted it. It would be here for ES, right? So then I went down to the 1 hour. So if we want to go down, right, I need to see a manipulation of the highs. If we want to go down, we have to go up first. I need to see an SMT put in. And coming into the 9:30 open, we didn't have an SMT yet, so I waited. We ended up putting one in right here. We actually ended up going all the way back up to opening price. In fact, we actually put in the high of the day during the 9:30 open because we shot past opening price. And as you can see, on ES, we never even saw that high, right? So that was my SMT put in. So once I have that, I'm looking for a fractal, a 30-minute fractal model. So we kind of had that, right? We're closing back within the range, so this is kind of like a C2 closure, but I think maybe the 15-minute is a little bit better. So we had a C2 closure here, right here. This one came back in the range, and even better, we actually had a 2-stage SMT, which is your most high probability confirmation that we are going to the downside, right? So we had a 2-stage SMT, a C2 closure, 15-minute model here. And yeah, all I needed to do now was drop down to the 3-minute, wait for a CISD, change in state of delivery, and then I can enter this. So I had to wait a little bit because I think we had taken this, right? We had taken this candle. I think I was waiting for this candle. But I don't think I don't think ES had a change in state of delivery yet. So I had to wait for ES because I have to wait for both of them to essentially align in terms of putting in that CISD. ES did, and then I kind of just had to decide what asset I wanted to take this trade on. I took it on NASDAQ, but honestly, ES was the stronger one. So, but I mean, they both ended up hitting TP. I got my 2R, but I think on ES, I probably could have got 1 to 3, and then if I went for the complete low, I wouldn't have got 1 to 3, but like close. But I'm completely fine with 2R, not trying to be greedy here. And yeah, that was basically it. Just understanding how price can move and how we move from one phase of price to the other, right? So yeah, that's basically, I think that's the biggest difference in my trading, understanding phases of price, understanding how we move from one phase of price to the next, because we're generating a lot of liquidity, right? And for me to want to go lower, we have to put in some form of SMT, right? So I always wait for that. So, and then not only that, this SMT actually made the high of day. So, you know, seeing some type of manipulation, seeing where we are in reference to whatever the daily high or the daily low that's put in. If, you know, I don't know how to explain it. Essentially, we're looking at how this daily candle is forming, and we want to trade away from lows of days, or we want to trade away from highs of days. And in this case, we actually put in the high of day, right? So if we are going lower, we want to trade away from the high of day. We put in the high of day here, and then we trade away from it. That's basically it. I don't know if that was confusing or not, but this was wonderful. Definitely seeing improvements. Just need that R&R to confirm that I know what I'm doing and my metrics are making sense. But right now, I've been able to curve a lot of unnecessary trades, which is really good. And slowly seeing my wins. What the heck just happened? Okay. Slowly seeing my wins pile up. You know what I mean? So, finish off January, see how this goes. Right now, up 4% on the year. So, I mean, hey, that's something. But yeah. Anyways, if you have any comments, let me know. Or any questions, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.